I have gotten up in the middle of the night and ran right smack into the wall, thinking the bathroom was the other direction. Yes, that's you
Oh,
forget where you're at. I went through the hotel room and my key wouldn't work. And go back to the front desk, and they said, "Well, sir, that's not your room." Oh,
Man.
you're right. That was last week's room. You're right. So, yeah, there's been many of them. Thankfully, none without clothes on.
Tommy, is that when you get those black brake dust boogers? Is that the
Oh, yeah.
combination of brake dust and nitro?
It's usually clutch dust in the funny car. All that clutch dust coming up in there. It's amazing that stuff goes everywhere. Every day. I
so
mean,
hold
after
on.
after after we run during the day, you blow your nose. I'm not lying. It's black.
I don't have any idea how you guys do that. That's just, I shake my head. The top fuel cars seem less crazy than sitting behind 11,000 horsepower motor, breathing brake dust, and a wheelbase that's probably 5 feet too short. I mean, it just makes no sense.
You ever seen a guy in a funny car have a white fire suit? No. Dragster? Yeah. Funny car? No.
Well, hold on. We've seen parts of the old Castrol suits with John Force, and yes, the white was white barely halfway through the first round in Pomona. That was it.
That's it. Yeah, that's why there's no white fire suit. Man, you don't wear white fire suits. You don't wear a white fire suit, drive a dragster.
Yeah, no. But back to boogers real quick because it's a serious question here. What are the worst boogers? Is it clutch dust boogers or is it dirt track racing boogers because those are pretty bad too? Or is it just going to Las Vegas and the high altitude super dry atmosphere that Vegas is it Vegas boogers?
Yeah, they're bloody. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want any. I don't want any of them. But I don't know. I like black ones. Man, that means you're in the wheel. That means you're behind the wheel. I don't mind black ones. That's good. I'll take black ones.
Okay, black boogers or dirty boogers. There you go.
That's
Yeah.
a great point. That's true. Tommy Johnson Jr. joining us here in the Freak Nation. If you're sitting on the bench, you're not getting any kind of boogers other than bench boogers. You want black boogers because you are behind the wheel.
Yeah, I'll take them. Yeah, you can get rid of them and blow them out. That's good. Get rid of them, and ready to go the next day, man. We're ready.
Hey,
My
Tommy,
iron count's really good because I'm clutch the center and iron, so I got plenty of iron in my blood. We're good.
There you go. This is how we talk medical stuff in the Freak Nation.
well, Tommy's been coming to the Freak Nation many times, and he knows this is just how we roll here in the Freak Nation. But it's not many times, Tommy, that you run in the Freak Nation where you've been sitting on the bench for a little bit, and all of a sudden you get the phone call that Matt Hagan, he's out for COVID-19 protocol, and you get to get back in the seat for a couple of races. That first race, man, but that second race, a big win for you and the team in general. How does a dude like yourself in drag racing stay sharp, knowing that you may get the call to run a sub 4 second pass versus a 200 lap NASCAR driver or IndyCar driver? How do you stay sharp to crush the tree like you do?
Yeah, that was a good question. I guess it's you go off experience. I mean, you just you got to fall back on all the years of doing this and just use your mental state of experience. And there's no real practice for our sport. These cars are so expensive to run, and to go out and make a lap on one of these cars costs so much money, and it's a tremendous amount of work for just that 4 seconds. So you just don't go out and practice. It isn't like go out and run 10 laps, come in and make a change, go out and run some more. You don't practice in these cars. You have to be mentally prepared to do it. So it felt normal. Just jumping back in, it felt back to normal, and I just relied on my natural ability, I guess, and the years of experience to have it all come back to me. And thank goodness it did. It came back quick, and it was almost like your brain's a really complicated thing, and you get all this information in it, and it clogs it up, and you start focusing on bad information and bad things, and you're trying not to do bad things, and you need to think positive. And I didn't have any bad information. I hadn't ran all season, so there was no bad runs. There was no mistakes. There was no late lights. There was no red lights. There was nothing in the data bank, and it was just come back and do it naturally. And you see that a lot with new drivers. You see them come out and just crush the tree. And I says, wait till they have a big fire. Wait till they make a mistake. Wait till they screw up. Then it gets in your head, and you go up there and you start thinking about it. You can't get rid of it. You try not to think about it, but you can't help it. So I had nothing to think about. No bad stuff in there. It was a clean slate for the last 10 months. Come out and do your thing, and it worked. It worked great.
I
So
talked to a driver once who said he was sitting down with a beer and a plate of wings, getting ready to watch March Madness when he got a call and showed up at the track the next day. What were you doing when they called you and said, Tommy, we need you?
Yeah, it was in Indy. I was at the races. It's about the track's about 3 miles from my house. Went out for the weekend to help a buddy of mine trip Tatum racing Top Fuel. I was going to just hang out with him and help him. And got a text, said, "You at the track?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm out here." And next thing I know, Dickie Venables is calling me and says, "Hey, could you drive our car? We need a driver." I'm like, "Yeah." He says, "Okay, we're going to run." And it was about 2 hours. He said, "We're going to run in 2 hours. Get your stuff and get over here." So I jumped in my car and drove home, I had to actually pull my helmet cabinets away from the wall, pull my helmets out, grab my suit, grab all my equipment, run back to the track. I was back in 30 minutes. 45 minutes later, I was sitting in the car after I got the phone call, warming the thing up and ready to go. And it was kind of funny you say that, because everybody says, "Boy, good thing you weren't out in the stands having a beer watching these guys. You'd have been in trouble." So I said, "Yep, no more. Can't have a beer, Aaron. You go to the racetrack ever again, cannot have a beer till the end of the day." Because you can't be that fan just sitting up there having a beer and relaxing, because you never know when that phone call is going to come. But yeah, it was a whirlwind, and then have a small part, a push-pull pin brake on the wheelie bar that never breaks. I mean, it wouldn't matter who was driving the car, it was going to break. So to have that happen and not be able to get a qualify in Indy, it was heartbreaking. It was like I said, it was like giving a kid an ice cream cone to go to take a lick and you smack it out of their hand. Say, "Nope, not today." And that's kind of how Indy was. It was like, "Oh, I get to drive again. This is great. Let's do this." And then, nope, you didn't qualify. You're out. It rained all day on Saturday. Didn't get to make a run. So it was great to get the opportunity, but it wasn't so great we didn't get to do it.
Was there anything you couldn't find, like you were looking for your helmet, or just anything that you couldn't find when you were rushing around the house?
No, but it was hard to remember what all I needed. It was all there. I had it all from last year. It was all sitting there, and I started going through it thinking, "Yeah, I think this is it. This is all of it. Okay, we're good." But and the guys on the team, luckily enough, it happened in Indy. The DSR shop's about a mile down the road from the track. They ran back to the shop and grabbed the seat insert out of my car that I drove last season. So by the time I got back to the track with my stuff, they already had my seat in the car, and I climbed in, and it felt like home again.
you were talking about how you didn't have any bad information in your head to go on to the track to make bad decisions necessarily for race weekends. However, what sort of, do you give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the training that some drivers do, and I'm sure you've done it in the past too, to the tree inside the transporter and practicing your tree reaction times away from the track? Is there a lot of benefit to that, or is it just kind of so-so?
I think it is. It depends on who you are and what works for you. I've never been able to have success doing that. It's so different from actually being in the car and doing it. There's fans in the stands. There's a guy in the other lane, and the car's running, and you have all these other factors involved. And you're sitting in your basement doing this tree. Anybody can cut a good light on a practice tree. I think. It's you don't have all the distractions. You don't have everything going on. It's just not the same for me, and it's never worked. So I've never been able to see any benefit from doing it. It might be a muscle memory thing that you can do, but it's just not something that's always worked for me. And I know guys that do it. They do it religiously and do it every week, and it works for them. It really makes them better. But I've tried, and it doesn't do anything. So I got one. I've tried it. It's sitting in the basement. It's probably got a lot of dust on it right now, but it's there.
Would it help if you had a fan and you were blowing brake dust up your nose? Would that make it easier for you to train in real life conditions?
Yeah, they talk about these simulators, all these simulators in racing now. All these guys got simulators, and they do all the simulation. I said, can you build a simulator that actually moves the earth, and the ground's shaking, and your whole house is vibrating, and if you're doing this? I says, you just can't simulate drag racing. 11,000 horsepower simulation. There's no way to do that, and I don't think you can get any benefit from it unless it's real,
Yeah, we have the U.S. Geological Survey looking at the seismograph and see the things, needles start to bounce. And they said, Tommy Johnson's just practicing. Don't worry about it.
That's probably true. That's what would happen, too. Because, when you come to drag racing and the ground moves and the earth shakes and the grandstands are fighting, you can't simulate that. There's only one way to do that. That's put a little nitro in the tank and light that thing up.
Tommy Johnson Jr. joining us here in the Freak Nation. And Tommy, drivers are particular about their cars. Did you call Matt and say, how does she react to this? How does she drive here? What are some intricacies about your car, Matt, that I need to pay attention to? Or do you make it your car once you sit in it?
Yeah, no, I haven't talked to Matt. We texted a couple times. He just said, "Hey, thanks for filling in for me." And I hope you're getting better. And really never talked about it. I jumped in the thing, and nowadays these seat inserts, most of the chassis are made very similar. The seat insert is kind of made for each driver, and it kind of gets you where you want to be and where you're sitting in the car. And luckily enough that the car I got in, Matt's car, was very similar to mine that I drove last season, with being with DSR for 7 years. We had very similar equipment, so most of the things were the same. The throttle pedal was a little different. It was different than mine, but it wasn't something you couldn't make work. And the steering wheel, his steering wheel was a little bigger than mine, but just other little things like that. It was very similar. And you don't know how they drive until the first run, and it was a flawless car. I mean, it was a great team. You can see why that team has won a couple championships together, and it's just a very well-oiled machine team, and they do a great job and made me feel very comfortable. And Dickie mentioned to me, you drive the car the way you drive, and I'll tune the way I drive, or way I tune, and we should be okay. And it's just a combination of a great team and great equipment, and just being able to fit right in right away. It worked perfectly.
So with that throttle pedal, with the steering wheel and some other things, did you change them to your liking, or did you keep them the way that Hagan has them and you just drove it anyway?
No, I kept them the way they were.
Nice.
I thought, it's something I'll just make it work. I'll deal with it, make it work. And I actually told Dickie after we won in Reading last weekend, I says, hey, if we do this again, I'd like to change that throttle pedal. It's okay, but I think I can do better,
Ooh. And I know we've talked about muscle memory, earlier in this interview, but when you get up on the starting line with Ron Capps, when you were up on the starting line with John Force, did any of the pre-stage rituals, does that stuff just come naturally back into your head about what they're going to do in the other lane versus you? Or was some of it like, oh yeah, I forgot about that?
Yeah, you try to go over in your head before the run. I always visualize in my head what's going to happen. And yeah, I've raced those guys a long time, a lot of years, and I know their habits and what they do. And it was like a high stakes chess game. I thought, okay, he's probably going to do this, and I need to do this to counter it. And I don't have a routine. I hadn't been out for 10 months, so I don't have a routine in this car, this team. But I have, how I drive and how I've driven in the past, and you get to know your competitors and their little things that they're trying to do to throw you off. And so, yeah, it was, I right away, each guy, I analyzed them. I thought, okay, he did this and this and this in the past, so I need to do this and this. And each one of them, I knew Force was going to roll it in deep. I wasn't surprised the top bulb went out. He went in so far. So I knew that. And I went in the final thinking, okay, I'm going to have to go with him. I got to stick it in there because I can't allow that to beat me, just because I think I can cut a good light shallow stage and he's going to roll it in and take every advantage he can. I need to do the same. So I poked it in there and actually didn't feel like it was far enough, and took one little more poke and moved the car just, maybe a half an inch to an inch further. And that made the difference, actually. I mean, it came down to 0.003 of a second I beat him by. And if I hadn't bumped that one more time, I probably lost that race. So, yeah, you quickly go back to your record books in your mind and know what each driver does, and try to counter that and try to come out on top.
Tommy, did your win become the antidote for Matt getting better? He's no longer sick, and now he's ready to. You can't let anybody else drive my car and win with it.
Yeah, I don't know when the progress came, but I'm going to guess it was probably Sunday afternoon. He started feeling a ton better. Yeah, I imagine. I don't know what his condition was Saturday, but I'm sure by Sunday night he was probably feeling normal again. So, yeah, if it was me, I'd be the same way. I'd be like, hey, okay, that's enough. Get out of my car. So, but yeah, it was probably well-healed medicine for him on Sunday to watch that, and he probably improved rapidly.
Yeah, I would imagine that's true, Tommy, that Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Wally cures all in the NHRA, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's amazing what they always said that one good run in a fuel car can cure cancer, and it can cure a lot of things. You start winning rounds and going around and throwing those chutes, running 330 some miles an hour, you feel pretty good. I don't care what's wrong with you. You feel pretty good.
You were feeling pretty good Sunday night, of course, talking about after your win in Reading. And did you really miss your flight?
Yes, I did. Yeah. When I booked a flight, this all happened so fast. I didn't find out till Wednesday I was actually going to be running in Reading as well. And we
Oh,
started booking flights and last minute flights. And I said, well, there's an 8:30 Sunday night, but what if we go to the final? My wife says, you don't book a flight expecting to win. You book that flight and you can cancel it if you win. And then you're happy about that. So we did. We booked the 8:30 out of Baltimore Sunday night. And we about 6 o'clock, and I think it was about 6 o'clock Sunday night. We left the winter circle taking pictures, and well, we just called and rebooked a new flight. We stayed in Baltimore Sunday night and missed that flight, and was happy about it.
And wow, that'll make you sick staying in Baltimore on a Sunday night.
oh, stop! Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
Well,
Tommy.
the flight actually got delayed, and I thought we might be able to make it, so we tried. And then I did some of my best driving techniques on the way to Baltimore from Reading, but it was to no avail. It wasn't delayed enough. I needed about another 20 or 30-minute delay, and we'd have made it.
I've gotten a ticket driving to Reading too fast. I think twice, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, you got lucky with no cops on your end.
Yeah, it was good. The traffic was pretty light. Well, we did get stuck in a little bit of road construction, and that was kind of the deal breaker. That was done. We're over. I said, we're calling it off. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to get a hotel. We'll rebook the
There
flight.
you go.
Going to have some dinner and just enjoy this win. And we did. We had a great time that night.
That's right, it's Oldies Radio.
Where is
And
this
remember,
place?
it's Big Bingo Day at the horse
There
track.
it is.
Life can be full of surprises for you and your vehicle. With Lucas Oil's Octane Booster, you're ready for them.
Lady, you're holding up the line. These guys are racing for pink slips.
Bring it on, Sonny.
Lucas Octane Booster eliminates engine knocks in cars of all ages.
Go!
It provides a cleaner fuel burn and improves performance, taking you to the finish line. Take home a winner with Lucas Octane Booster.
Tommy, what does a driver do? A driver who's had a pretty successful career like yourself, what does a driver do for 10 months prior to jumping back in the seat? What the hell have you been doing, bud?
I am busier now than I've ever been in my life. I think, I have a parts business, supply company for all the race teams out there. I supply them with all their consumables they run out of every week. And a nitro team can come to my shop and get everything they need for the entire weekend, and that they're going to use up from towels and zip ties and chemicals and nuts and bolts and spark plugs and just stuff like that. But I also do woodworking. I always dabbled in woodworking. I did a lot in high school, and then or quarantine, I started doing a lot more, and people started seeing it. And then people, hey, would you build me this? I'm like, yeah, sure. And now I'm booked up probably 2 months in advance now, building stuff for people. And I've always liked that passion and did that. And my wife and I make candles. We have a little Etsy site, TA Candles on Etsy. And we make candles out of liquor bottles, wine bottles, beer bottles, and make piston candles out of the race car. So I've got more things going on now than I've ever had. But that could all be put on hold if the phone rings, right? Yeah.
I know. I saw your hashtag. I'm available for hire. So it sounds like it's good to see how busy you are.
Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, I've enjoyed it. I love racing. I love the people. I love being able to drive these race cars. But I haven't missed the travel. The travel every week is not on the missing list. And I've enjoyed being home a little bit. I've never done it. I've traveled my entire life every year on the circuit, and it's been a new experience. It took a little getting used to it first, but now I really enjoy it. And it was just a nice break. Maybe that has a lot to do with coming back out fresh and just kind of recharge my batteries and then ready to go again. So it's been good. And Forrest come over. He congratulated me at the top end, and he was walking away, and I yelled at him. I said, "Do you have any empty cars over there? I'm available." He was kidding me. If I don't get my act together, you may be in mine. So we'll see.
I didn't think about that. That's true, Tommy. You're playing with house money. You have nothing to lose. You're filling in for somebody. So I would imagine the intensity of your demeanor inside that race car was a little different versus when you're getting paid to drive a race car or you're not getting paid to get out of a race car. Right?
Yeah, it was very different. I went in the weekend where let's just have some fun. I'm not in the points. There's no pressure. I told my wife, if I screw up, what are they going to do? Fire me? Who cares? And that carefree attitude, it kind of worked to my advantage. I said, I'm just out here to have fun. And the guy told me Sunday morning, he says, that's dangerous because guys out here just to have fun are usually dangerous because there is no pressure. There's nothing that, I was thinking, man, I've got to do this or it's over, the season's over or I may lose my job or I could care less what happened. I wanted to win for myself. I wanted to win for these guys. They put in a tremendous amount of work to make that happen and get me in the car and do it all. I wanted to help them and wanted these guys to win the race. But at the same time, I was only kind of concerned about myself. I wanted to win the race. I was like, I want to win this race. And I think that attitude and that no pressure attitude played tremendously well on Sunday for just going out there and doing the best I could.
I've heard some great stories. Tommy Johnson Jr., you mentioned traveling. I've heard drivers tell me that they wake up in the morning as 3 o'clock in the morning to go to the bathroom. They don't know what hotel they're in. I had one driver tell me he ended up in the hallway thinking he was going to the bathroom. All the traveling you've done, I bet you have some stories like that you can tell where you went to the wrong door, you got locked out of the room, not wearing enough clothes. Tell me one of those stories.
I have gotten up in the middle of the night and ran right smack into the wall, thinking the bathroom was the other direction. Yes, that's you forget where you're at. I went to the hotel room and my key wouldn't work. And go back to the front desk and they said, "Well, sir, that's not your room." Man. Oh, you're right. That was last week's room. You're right. So yeah, there's been many of them. Thankfully, none without clothes on. So yes, no. But you start losing track of where you're at. What place? Where are we? And fortunately, I've been able to travel the world in a race. That was kind of cool to be able to go. I've won a top fuel race in 6 different countries. So, yeah, the traveling part it's a great experience, but man, it's a grind, and you feel for these guys. And I mean, NASCAR guys running 36 times a year. I can't imagine doing that every year. And NHRA we run 24 times a year, and it just after a while you think, man, where are we? What race is next? What city am I in?
After your race win last weekend, a couple of weeks in the Schumacher car, is it tough for you to watch a Charlotte weekend or now moving forward other races now that you got the taste back in your mouth after the win in Reading?
It's going to be painful as can be. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It'll hurt. I'm actually in Charlotte this weekend, my mom's house, and we're going to have a little memorial for my dad who passed away in March. He my racing career is because of him. So I came down, we're going to do something out the track for him on Thursday night. And, I'll be here this weekend, but I already told my wife, I said, I may go one day. I don't know if I can do it for a whole weekend. It's going to be tough to go out there and watch. And especially after last weekend, winning the race and being on top of the world, and you come back this week and they put you back on the bench, you're sitting on the sidelines. And I love the sport, but it's something that's been very hard. Even this 10-month break this year, I don't pay a lot of attention to qualifying on Fridays or Saturdays, but I'll tend to watch the race every now and then. I'll watch on Sundays, and it's I'm a good critic. I sit there and tell them what they're doing wrong at home, and it was kind of ironic to get shoved back in there. And okay, I've been telling them all what they're doing wrong. Go out here and show them how to do it right. And fortunately, it worked out. It could have come back in my face, but it worked out okay. But yeah, it will be tough. I'll be out there for a day, maybe 2 at the most, but. I'm not a very good spectator at all.
Hey, real quick, before we let you go, you brought up your dad, and I just think that it is really cool that the book that your dad wrote about himself, kind of curing himself with cancer, his legacy lives on through his messaging, through his book, and that is something you can always hold on to and just be like, yes, that's my pops. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, my dad, he loved drag racing more than anything in this world, and he had colon cancer and was basically given 3 months to live, and decided that no, I'm not ready to go yet. And he wrote a book on how he beat it and survived it and was cancer free for 23 years after that. And wow. He had a stroke, didn't die of cancer. He had a stroke, beat the cancer, and then something else got him. But my dad's nickname actually was 9 Lives. My dad had so many bouts with death and then put it off. So it was kind of shocked when he did pass, he'd crashed the race car and had been in intensive care for 3.5 months in the hospital from the injuries from that race car wreck. And they nicknamed him 9 Lives, and it stuck. He actually had beaten cancer 3 times. He ended up getting a couple other tumors and stuck to his regimen on how he was going to beat it and beat it every time. So,
perfect.
Yeah, it's a great individual. Loved drag racing more than anything in this world, and I wouldn't have the career I have if it wasn't for him.
So great. So great.
Well, we're happy we had a reason to get you back in the Freak Nation and not to, talk to you about buying some candles for, our 7-year-old daughter.
You can still buy
I
some
know we
candles,
can,
Kenny.
can't we?
Well, yeah, you can still buy candles. That's no problem. God, I'm back on the sidelines again, Kenny.
Right? And Tommy, I've we've known each other for about 20 years, and I know how you like to go through your beers. At least you used to. So I imagine you have plenty of beer bottles to put some candles in.
Yeah, everybody says, "Do you drink all those?" I have them on the shelf ready to be cut. No, not all of them. I have a lot of friends that like to party, so they keep me well stocked. I've never had a shortage of product to be able to sell.
Right.
That's awesome.
Well, TJ, our hopes are that we see you back in a funny car or in a race car, and the same with our buddy Jack Beckman. You're two of the best guys we know in drag racing, and we sorely miss you guys out there running ragged.
Plenty of individuals sitting on the sidelines right now that are plenty capable drivers, and fortunately, hopefully we can get some more teams out there and get back to it. I know Jack would love the opportunity to be back out here as well as myself, and it was a great little taste of it again last weekend, and I don't think you can do any more than win a race for an audition to maybe show some people that you deserve being a car and you can get the job done for them. So it was a great opportunity and tried to make the most of it, and it happened. I mean, 2 weeks ago, I didn't think I would have a trophy from 2021, but we're going to slide some over and make a little room on the shelf and put that one up there with it.
It's awesome. Hey, man, peace to you, your family. Go sell some candles, my friend, and some
And woodworking.
some tie downs, whatever the hell. Maybe that's what the problem is. Maybe you need to supply some faulty. Or something to cause COVID with some of these drivers.
No.
Maybe put a little COVID, Delta virus on one of those. No.
Sorry. Just don't even go
Put in
there.
a candle.
No.
Just when you're pouring the candle, just slip a little in there, and when they light it up, you spray the room with COVID.
No.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll work real well.
Yeah, no.
Tommy Johnson Jr. here in the Freak Nation. Buddy, thanks for doing this.
Appreciate it, guys.